Well, good morning, y'all. Welcome to Ashley Ridge. Y'all stand. We're going to sing together this morning. We're so glad you're here. Well, I've got a story too good to hide. I was a blind man wandering till I saw the light. Well, I've got a story I can't deny. Well, I'm a living, breathing miracle, and I just gotta testify. 'Cause ain't nobody love me like Jesus. Ain't nobody love me this good. Ain't nobody love me like Jesus. And I know nobody could. Tell me you can give me this freedom. Tell me you can give me this far. Ain't nobody love me like Jesus. And I know nobody could. Ain't nobody. Well, now I'm anointed to bring the news. And everything you did for me, I know you will. He gave me joy for the morning, for the ashes to cry. Well, I'm a walking, talking miracle, and I just gotta let it out. Say nobody love me like Jesus, and ain't nobody love me this good. Ain't nobody love me like Jesus, and I know nobody could. Tell me you can give me this freedom. Tell me you can give me this far. Ain't nobody love me like Jesus, and I know nobody could. Nobody could pull me from the darkness, save me by the blood, raise me from the ashes. I know nobody could break off every shackle, tear down every wall, set free every captive. I know nobody could pull me from the darkness, save me by the blood, raise me from the ashes. I know nobody could break off every shackle, tear down every wall, set free every captive. I know nobody could. Ain't nobody. Ain't nobody love me like Jesus, and ain't nobody love me this good. Ain't nobody love me like Jesus, and I know nobody could. Tell me you can give me this freedom. Tell me you can give me this far. Ain't nobody love me like Jesus, and I know nobody could. Have a seat.
Well, hey there, James.
What's up? You know, I wait for an entire year to do the guess what, it's gonna be May, and I missed it last Sunday.
Ah, dang it.
But tomorrow is May the 4th.
Which is even better, in my opinion.
Yeah, Star Wars Day, May the 4th.
Star Wars, May the 4th be with you all. Anyways.
Yeah, let's start off that Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, everybody, this is Joshua. Can you say
Oh,
hey,
yeah, I
Joshua?
forgot. Hi, guys. I'm Joshua. Hello, everyone.
And I'm James, and Joshua is Director of AR Students here at Ashley Ridge, and we're so glad that you're here this morning. In fact, he's got a couple of awesome things to tell you about, but before that happens, if you're a first-time guest here, or a second-time guest here, or a millionth-time guest here, we're so glad you're here. We think every Sunday is a great Sunday to join us. We're kicking off a brand new Sunday in May, and a brand new series in May.
called I Wish You Knew. And it's just going to be a great, great month. And we want to help you connect and take whatever your next step toward Jesus is. So in the back of the room, in the door, by the doors, not in the doors. Good grief. Slow down, brain. By the doors where you walked in, there are some teal offering bins, and right on the table next to those are some Connect cards. Grab one of those. That is your best way to let us know what your next step toward Jesus is, whether you're interested in baptisms that are coming up in just a little bit, or child dedications, or you want to jump in a small group, or you want to know more about jumping in to serve others here at Ashley Ridge, or maybe you've got a prayer request, something that's on your heart and on your mind that you're going through, or that a loved one is going through, and you would like say, hey, I wish somebody could pray with us, could pray for us. We would be honored to do that. We do that every week together as a staff. You can let us know there too. And the good news is you don't all have to go jump up and run and grab one. You can grab your smartphone right now, hit the QR code, or download the Ashley Ridge app and fill that out online. And there's also some message notes and fill in the blank things and other things to follow along with today's service as well. So that being said,
That being said, it's May.
It is.
And May marks, it's about to be summer, and we have a ton of stuff happening in family ministry and in here. But if you have a elementary kid in the room, AR Kids is doing something really, really cool. Biggest event of AR Kids history ever,
That's
okay?
right.
Get excited, because it's called Game On.
Game
all right?
on.
Game On.
Anybody used to play in the street, and you'd be like, car, game off. And then you'd be like, game on.
That, but okay, cool.
It's like that.
But AR Kids, you guys are going to come here. I'm pretty sure it's a Friday night.
It is, and you're not going to play in the street, which is good news.
Exactly. We like safety here, James.
And
anyways,
no parents.
no parents. It's a drop off. So you're going to
Let's
drop
go.
your kids
Date
off
night.
here. I know you can go do something fun. But if you want more details about that, you can talk to Reagan, our kids director, and she'll tell you all those details, but it's going to be super awesome. Also, for middle school and high schoolers, we're doing a summer luau on June 3rd, which is a Wednesday night. Just to kick off summer, you can wear a Hawaiian shirt, wear the lei flower things. It'll be fun. We'll have a great time. And also, I told you there's a lot of stuff happening in this summer, guys. But I'm sure James will talk about it. Spoiler if he hasn't yet. Worship night is coming soon.
Yeah, y'all, we're doing our first worship night in this building. It's something we've been talking about for such a long time. Wednesday, June 24th. Go ahead and put this date down on your calendars. We are going to do RSVPs for this, just so we make sure we can get everybody in. But we're going to do a worship night here on Wednesday, June 24th. Make sure you don't miss it. It's going to be amazing. And then there's another thing.
Yes, it is. It's called Together Nights.
Yeah, and this is just for adults. We're going to do 3
guys.
evenings in July 14, 15, and 16. You're going to get more information about this soon. There's going to be a special thing just for you that involves worship and teaching, maybe even some crafts. You never know.
You never know.
Everybody loves a good craft. So Together Nights are coming up in July.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to sing together this morning. Y'all continue to, well, not continue to stand because you've been sitting. Y'all stand and let's continue to sing together.
All I see is the battle. You see my victory. When all
Father, we declare that together this morning, that there is no circumstance, there's nothing in our life, there's nothing this side of heaven that you don't reign above. That you are greater than all of it. So, Father, whatever circumstance we walked in here today with, the thing that's going on, the regret, the uncertainty, the waiting, whatever it is, Father, help us to trust you with it today. Because you're a good Father who wants what's best for us. That you know exactly what we need right now in this moment. That we don't fight our battles alone. That you go before us. That you proved it when you sent Jesus. Before we could do anything for you. You did something unimaginable for us. Thank you for that gift. Thank you that we can be made new today. That we can be set free today. That you are a good Father who is longing for us to turn and come home. Speak to us now, we pray. It's in Jesus' name, amen. Y'all can be seated this morning.
So there's a guy named James, not that one, another one, who was the brother of Jesus. And throughout Jesus' life, there were stories every now and then of him in his hometown. And whenever Jesus was in his hometown, it didn't go particularly well because they knew him as that carpenter's son who had probably wreaked havoc on their lawn or done something crazy. And so they were some of the people who found it the most difficult to believe that Jesus was the Son of God. And so it's interesting that James eventually would become one of the leaders in the early church. Because when Jesus eventually went to the cross and came back and was resurrected and appeared to all these people, you got to go from that place where you're like, okay, this was my brother, and now here he is, and he did everything he said he was going to do, and this is the Son of God. And can you only imagine the mental journey of getting from that place of brother, Son of God? And so you have to imagine that what James saw was truly miraculous. But what I love is that we get to hear from James as the church began to understand what was it going to mean to be a community of people that believed Jesus was who he said he was, that everything he said impacted every part of our life, and how are we going to live differently because of who he is. And so I say all that to give some context to these verses I want to read from James chapter 5. And I'm currently getting a call from the supervisory alarm company for our building. So if someone in the production realm can go hit silence alarm, that would be great. Sorry, y'all. When it rains, stuff gets into the system, and I'm the first call. It's just never happened during this moment. So anyway, and it's funny because y'all are going to laugh. The first verse I want to read this morning from James 5:13, is anyone among you in trouble? Right? Is anyone among you in trouble? Let them pray. Is anyone happy? Let them sing songs of praise. Is anyone among you sick? Well, let them call the elders of the church to pray over them and to anoint them with oil in the name of the Lord. And the prayer offered in faith will make the sick person well, and the Lord will raise them up. And if they've sinned, they will be forgiven. So therefore, confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. I love these verses because what James is trying to communicate here is that if we're going to take Jesus seriously about loving God and loving each other, then we are going to have to show up for each other in the midst of life. And so he said, if you're in trouble, you should call some people. And if you're happy, you should call some people. And if you're sick, you should call some people. And either way, we're going to navigate all of life together. And that's why for many, many years now, the mantra around here at Ashley Ridge has been, life is better together. And that means a couple things for us, first and foremost, that we need God. But the second piece of that is that we need each other. We are meant to live life together, to navigate life together. And so these next few weeks, I've been really looking forward to this for a few months now. These next few weeks, I want us to have some conversations around what some of the pieces, and maybe some of the pieces we don't talk about often enough, of that life together look like. And in specific, I want to talk about a few key topics that surface a lot. When it comes to the calls that I get, the emails I get, people that I hear from, navigating through life, these are some of the things that come up most frequently. And so the next couple weeks, we're going to talk about mental health. We're going to talk about that today. And then we're going to talk about raising kids in this world, because that's, turns out not easy. And we're going to talk about marriage. And there's some other things that we're going to talk about along the way, but these are just some of the things that rise to the surface that I am hearing about more and more and more. And the reason I want to take the time to have the conversations in the way that we're going to do it is because that I believe that as a church, our call to care for one another and show up for one another in significant ways is so incredibly important. In fact, that's another thing we say a lot around here is show up. When you don't know what to do, when you don't have all the answers, show up. Be a community that can be present for one another. And as a church, as people going, we're trying to figure out what it is to love each other in the ways that Jesus asked us to do it, then this becomes so significant that not only when people come here to be part of what God's doing at Ashley Ridge Church, it's fun and it's safe and it's exciting, but this is a place where we can know and be known, and where we can care for each other in some really significant ways. And so the last thing I want to say before bringing up some amazing people that are going to be part of today's conversation is that in the coming weeks and the coming months, you are going to be hearing a lot more from me about how we are further building out our care team at Ashley Ridge. And so right now, a lot of our care team comes back to some of the staff and then also our prayer team. We have an incredibly dynamic prayer ministry here at Ashley Ridge Church. Every Sunday, we've got people over here to pray before services and after services. They're praying between services together. We have people that pray all week long and send prayer notes and all of that kind of thing, and that's incredibly important to us. We want to continue to grow that part of our ministry, but we're also going to be growing our care ministry in the form of advocates and mentors. And I don't want to take a ton of time to talk about that this morning, but we're going to be looking for people like a lot of you that are not going to be counselors and are not going to come in and try to fix everybody's stuff or whatever, but people who want to come alongside people in different seasons and moments of life, right? Just like James talked about. If somebody's dealing with this, then we want to be with them. And so I'm going to be talking a lot more about what that looks like, but I don't want to do it today because today I do want to have a conversation around mental health. It is something that is so talked about in our world right now. It is something that I hear about from so many of you. And so we want to jump into the conversation. And so to help me with that, I have two people. Will y'all help me welcome up here this morning Dr. Jeff Meyer and Miss Alyssa Bostwick. Can y'all help me welcome them up here? All right, so I told him I was going to call him Dr. Jeff just because it entertains me, because I've known Jeff for 10 years as my next door neighbor. I love the fact that he is not just my next door neighbor. Jeff has been a clinical psychologist. Yeah, come on up. We can get close together. The camera people yell at us if we're not all grouped in. Jeff has been a clinical psychologist for about 25 years now. I know he doesn't look nearly that old, but for about 25 years, he's been a clinical psychologist, and 18 of those years have been with the VA. So, which is incredibly important, and I think we all know how, yeah, you can cheer for that. That's awesome. So that's a long time to be doing what he does, which is incredible. And Alyssa Bostwick has been I told her I was going to get all the words mashed up together. She is a licensed counselor and social worker and therapist and all the things. I was like, I'm just going to use all the words. She's licensed as a clinical social worker and therapist and works with people through all sorts of trauma and all kinds of things, couples and everything else. She even deals with religious trauma and backgrounds. She even counsels pastors because they need help, y'all. They're one of the more troubled groups in our world. And so God bless her, Alyssa does that. So, but in addition to that, y'all hopefully recognize their faces because both Jeff and Alyssa are part of our church. And we're actually really fortunate at Ashley Ridge. We have a wealth of counselors and psychologists and psychiatrists and mental health professionals that are here. I don't know why God thought we needed all of them, but I don't know. Probably says more about me than it does about any of you. So anyway, I asked these guys a few months ago to sit with me and have a conversation about this because, again, I hear it so often and I meet with people so often, and I think that as a church, it's really important that we're in this conversation and that we know that God cares about all of us and how we show up for each other in these kinds of ways. And so we had a great conversation, and my biggest fear today is you're not going to hear half of all the incredible things that we'd love to talk about, but I want to start talking less and let them talk more so that we can just hear a little bit more about this collectively. So we're going to jump right in. And the thing is, there is a lot of discussion around mental health. And we're hearing it in schools, we're hearing it in our homes, we're hearing it in television. It's a lot more pervasive. And so I would love for y'all to just offer some context to the conversation of what is mental health, and then as you see it both professionally and in your lives, like what does that landscape look like? Sometimes we hear the word crisis, but just in general, what does that look like? So. Who wants to go first? Jeff wants to go first. I think it should be on.
Hello? Can you
Is he on? Here, hold on.
Check. Mine's on.
You're on. They just have to turn
Right,
you
now
up.
I'm on. Everybody can hear me now. I think a lot of times when we think about mental health, sometimes the first thing that comes to mind is mental illness, depression, anxiety, and PTSD. And of course, those are part of, the mental health landscape, but really mental health is about how your body and mind interact with stress. And sometimes those things come through, depression or anxiety. I feel anxiety right now, right up there right now.
I moved so they could see you, not to make you nervous.
But it's how your body interacts with it, how you handle those. And really, mental health is about how much you're living a life that's full of values and meaning and purpose. And that is difficult. That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a short answer. I've got 3 pages to answer that question. I think about mental health. I love that you said it's not mental illness, and people who walk into my office tend to think it's mental illness. And I think of it on a spectrum. As one side, you might have a diagnosis that's life-altering, and on the other side, there's like every other human that exists, and we're all in the same kind of bucket. Some of us have diagnoses, some of us might not. But what we notice in the research is that at least 35% of all of us in our lifetime will have some kind of anxiety attack, disorder, moment standing here on stage where we feel really awkward.
Don't say panic attack and look at me.
But I think that when I think about mental health, I think about physical health. I think about like cardiovascular. Have I had enough water? Did I take a rest after being up with my babies all night long, like physical health. And mental health, I think, is a word that a lot of us don't understand. So I think about it in like our emotional, psychological, and relational parts of us. Emotional, can you feel your feelings? Can you feel the sensation in your body? Do you know what to do with that when they arise? And can you work through them, or do you numb them? I'm a very big number, so we all have our things that we all have to do. Psychologically are like the thoughts that we have and how we interact with the world, the belief that I have, our self-esteem, if I think other people are safe or not. That's a huge bucket that we could go into, but I won't. And the relational, my number one way to reveal this is, how do you handle conflict? Are you like, yes, tell me what I'm doing wrong, I would really love to hear it? Or do you kind of get defensive and stand up for yourself and forget to listen to the other person? All of these are wired in us, and they're not necessarily choices we make, but the way that our body is wired based off our experiences. Historically, we've seen, where does this go wrong? How does it become mental health disorders or diagnoses? And historically, it was inherited, it was genetic, then we had chemical imbalances. Those are still both true. But we're noticing now, in the last 20 or 30 years, there's a new piece of research, is that when we go through overwhelming things alone, our bodies don't know how to digest those experiences. And just like food, they get stored, and then over a course of time, they can then present as anxiety, depression. They can develop fully into PTSD, can look like OCD, can look like ADHD. And so when we look at mental health, this is why I love talking about that spectrum. Sometimes it's a full biological disorder that you inherited. And other times it's because of the experiences you've had and you didn't have anybody who knew how to handle it with you. And then we have anxiety, depression, rampaging our world. And we wonder why. We talk about being alone all the time, Jen, and doing life together is so important.
Right. Yeah. And that was one of the big things that I think came out of our initial conversation, right? Was that it is a whole landscape. Like, we all have mental health. We all have some realm of this. This impacts everyone. This isn't just a diagnosable thing or undiagnosable thing. But I'm curious, with that, that landscape side of things, like, have you seen that shift? Or why do you think some of it's shifting? We're talking about it more, we're seeing it more. What does that look like?
Yeah, I think words like crisis get thrown around a lot. And I like that more attention is coming to mental health, but I think some of what media and publicity does is it amplifies everything, right? It's a crisis, we're all depressed, we're all anxious, what I see a lot of is there's a lot more people that are willing to talk about mental health, that are willing to get help for mental health, that are more willing to talk about it to other people. And so, yeah, there might be some things in our society that are causing increased rates of anxiety and depression. Our cell phones probably don't have a whole lot of help in that aspect, or at least
Say
do
it
more harm than
louder!
good.
Sorry, what?
Right, but at the same time, I see, previously, and for much of psychology, it would take, on average, 2 decades for somebody to get help. They would have a problem for, on average, of 20 years before they sought help. But now we're seeing more and more people come into therapy and come in to get help, and beyond just therapy, talk to other people about what they're going through and what they're dealing with, and talk about their anxiety and talk about their depression and talk about their trauma. So, I see a lot of people that, even though we might have some increased rates, especially amongst our youth, of anxiety and depression and loneliness, but we're also seeing a lot more people have this conversation and come into therapy and talk to somebody professionally when they need help.
Yeah. Which I love is that it is a conversation that's out there. So part of why we're hearing about it more is because we're willing to talk about it, which I think a lot of us would say was different even when we were kids. It was a confusing conversation and it wasn't out there in the same way. So, but when you talk about things, it comes up more.
Yeah, I'll sit in a meeting of psychologists, and still, if I talk about my therapist, people are like, I wonder what's going on with Jet. Of mental health professionals, right? But I think that type of language is needed. I think it's important.
Yeah. Okay, let me jump to this side of it. So, what is something that you wish people understood about mental health that sometimes gets either misconstrued or misunderstood, or just isn't talked about enough? So again, where we just jumped there is that there's still a little bit that we don't understand. That's always going to be the case. But what are some of the big things you hear that is like, this is where we're still kind of missing it. This is where we're misunderstanding or misconstruing or not quite there.
I think about mental health as like you look at your physical health and people are like concerned about it, and then their mental health breakdown, and they're like, where did that come from? Oh, I have to think about this now. And so I think when we think about mental health, that we miss is that it doesn't happen out of the blue. And oftentimes what happens, like I said earlier, we go through these really hard things. Our body adapts in that alone state and moves into a survival mechanism. So like if you're in a really like overwhelming place in your life and no place feels safe, you might, like biologically, your body might shut down and numb for you. That is a good thing. That is how God designed it. We need it to do so. The hard part is that when we haven't processed in connection with other people, not therapists are when it falls apart, we need each other. People in our lives, when we don't have that because we don't have the language, or we are in a world where we're like, hey, pull yourself by your bootstraps, or to quote Kelly Clarkson, what didn't kill me made me stronger, and then we keep going, Kelly, I have to argue with you, is that we actually stay in that frozen state. And so that mechanism that was a God-given gift in your nervous system, you stay in and you freeze, and then you keep using it again and again and again. I always tell my clients, like, if you had an 8-year-old, what size of shoe do they wear? You're still wearing that same size of shoe, and you're wondering why it's not working. It's gonna start hurting over a course of time. And so we have to look at, how did I survive it, and how am I still trying to survive it even though the boogie monster isn't still here? That's why we have anxiety and depression most of the time.
Yeah.
When we're not looking at the biological diagnosable, like mental health, I lost my mind, genetic or chemical imbalances.
I think one of the things that I see misconstrued or kind of warped a little bit amongst the patients that I see and amongst the people that I talk to is, one, I hear a lot like, I don't need therapy, right? And the reality is you probably don't. Like you probably, some of you do. But
I
most
do.
of you,
I do.
most of you probably don't need it, you know, but you deserve it. You know, a lot of, I treat more men disproportionately than women, and a lot of the men that I see, like, will say, like, what good is talking gonna do about it? Like, for us, especially guys, we get it with sports. Like, you would never say, what good is talking to the coach gonna do? Or a job, what good is talking to my supervisor gonna do? But these are areas where you're trying to be a better athlete or better coworker. What about when you're trying to be a better person, a better father, a better son, a better brother, a better neighbor? And it helps to have somebody to talk through.
Yeah.
And then the last misconception, I'll say, the last big thing that I hear, especially in the VA, I don't know if I imagine we got a lot of veterans out here, but a lot of times people will say, well, I'm gonna, that's for people that really need it, right? So I don't wanna take up services for people that really, truly need mental health. And the reality, that's just not true, not in the VA. You know, the VA gets more money for the more patients it treats. And so the more that people that come in with all kinds of issues and all kinds of things that they're trying to improve and work on, the more patients we see, the more funding we get, the more that we can improve programs. And this is not just the VA, this is just supply and demand.
Yeah.
That the more people that come in and seek treatment and therapy and help, the more that we get resources available to treat more people. So this idea of, I'm gonna save that for people that really, really need it, is actually doing somewhat of a disservice to those people that need it or could benefit or could use it.
Yeah. Well, and I'll go ahead and say this is a moment of confession, is that I know you picked on guys, but I'll own it. I was that person for years who was all about helping other people get help, and then I was the classic, oh my gosh, we're just going to talk about it. That's not going to help me. I can tell you all the things they're going to say. I can tell you all the things that they're going to do. And so I do think, we think there has to be a crisis. And I meet with so many people that I think to myself, I wish you had called me a few months ago, or I wish you had called me a while ago. And part of it is getting this idea out there that we all need some level of help. We all want to be able to get better at these things. And so I will just say, for the record, 6 months ago, homegirl got herself a counselor, and I stuck with it. So for anyone who knows me, they're like, that's a small miracle. We thought she needed help a long time ago, but it was one of those things. You know, again, you just hit those crisis moments in life, or just life gets overwhelming for so long, and you finally go, gosh, I just need to process this with somebody. Not because it's a crisis, but because I'd like to not have a crisis, or I'd like to get ahead of some of some of these things. So anyway, from my perspective, I want to hear more from you though. So, okay, so what are some of the barriers that we face? And I think we're hitting this a little bit already, but what are some of the barriers we face when it comes to talking about mental health or getting help when needed? And you talked about one, the access of are people willing to ask and what's available, but what else would y'all look at as barriers to talking about it or getting help when needed?
I think some people don't know exactly where to look. I think some people don't know how to start the conversation, which was why I think this is so useful and helpful and important. I think a lot of people are afraid of talking about, I will say that when you come into therapy, we don't talk about the easiest things in the world. It's stuff that's difficult. And the other piece of it is the only way to get better at difficult things is to do them, is to, engage with them. In therapy, we call it exposure, that if you want to get over your fear of dogs, you got to be around dogs. You want to get over your fear of crowds, you got to be around crowds. And people aren't sure if they want that. It's hard. Sometimes when you talk about things, they get worse before they get better. They get more intense, they get more palpable, and you feel them harder before they get a little better. I see a lot of people that are worried about being judged. Because they'll look at somebody will look at them as weak or deficient or like something's wrong, and that's one thing that I say all the time. It's mental health or even mental illness is not that something's wrong with you per se. You have everything that you need to be a fully functioning, wonderful person in this world. Not that you don't have challenges and issues. It's more about life is hard, and the things that you're trying to do right now are really difficult. Whether it's navigate the 8th grade or get through one of these major pieces of life like puberty or quarter life crisis or midlife crisis or perimenopause or menopause, or you're aging, you got back pain, you got illness, somebody that you know and love is going through some rough stuff right now.
He looked at me, y'all. You saw he looked at me.
But life is hard, and you are all trying to do some really cool, just by being here, you're trying to do some really cool things in life, some really important things, some really meaningful things, and that's stressful. That's really difficult.
Yeah.
I think a lot about what you said, Jen, is like we go because of the crisis, not because we're actually just trying to function. And I think that when I sit with clients, and as you have heard from all of us, all three of us have therapists, so we all see them, is that for me personally, before going in, is that to go is to admit something was wrong with me, and asking for help was the hardest process. And I think that I hope if nobody is raising their hands, you agree with me. And so that the asking for help, I think, is somehow admitting that there's something wrong with me, and that's the biggest fear to ever feel like there's something wrong with us. And talking to a therapist is that confirmation and the fear that they're going to look at me and tell me that, like, oh, here's your diagnosis, Alyssa, you have to go do this. It's terrifying. And I think that we talk about therapy, but I don't think anybody actually talks about what is it like to sit with a therapist. And so if people are talking about this, you don't have to disclose what maybe you're processing, but like, oh yeah, my therapist gives me like advice or tells me to breathe, or like, yeah, I shared this really hard thing and they just sat there and cried with me. I cry a lot. And so inviting that, there's a lot of shame to go in. We feel like, I hear this phrase too of like, I should have been able to figure it out. Why can't I figure it out? I tell people, like, if it only took reading a book, you would have figured it out and you wouldn't have needed me. And if that's the case, please go read that book and fire me immediately. And we don't like that vulnerability of talking about those things that maybe nobody else knows, and saying it out loud makes it real. Very, very scary making these things real. What I love about the current people walking into my office, though, is that they are no longer okay not being okay. That they want to thrive and not just survive. And I think that is one of the leading reasons why people are coming to therapy, and why the numbers might be increasing as well, as they're like, I've seen the generations of people that just held it together. And that worked, but we're no longer in that world. And we're having these conversations thanks to therapy TikTok of part work and breath work, and what are the a regulated nervous system. What do we see on therapy TikTok? I'm not on TikTok. I have no idea. It was overwhelming for my nervous system. But you're seeing this, and now people are like, oh, I want some of that.
Yeah.
I think it's great. A lot of times people, when they hear I'm a psychologist, the first thing they say is, really? And then after that, they say, God, it must be tough, hearing people talk about issues and trauma and breakups and death and loss and depression and anxiety, and it is that part is part of the reason why I do have a therapist. But the really cool thing that happens in therapy is you get to see people coming in consistently day after day, just trying to be better people. And that's inspiring, just hour after hour, just by the very nature of them coming into therapy, they're trying to be a better person, better in some, more patient, more calm, more kind, more loving, more caring. And it's really inspiring. It's a really cool part of therapy. It really makes it worthwhile. So it's not just, open up your book to session 1 and we're going to do this. It's really just, what are you trying to do in your life, and what's getting in the way, and let's bring those out into the surface, and what have you tried, and these types of conversations. We don't always have to talk about your mother. We can. But it's really just, how are you trying to be good? How are you trying to be a good person, and how can, you continue to do that and support and succeed with it.
Yeah, I love that y'all are using a lot of that language of, it's about getting better, it's about thriving. And I think, and I hope from a faith standpoint, one of the things you hear us talk about here a lot is that, our faith is not about having an escape hatch or an eventually we get to go to heaven, so we put our faith in God. But the fact that Jesus became fully human to be with us now. Our hope is now. And Jesus invites us into a life that he says is abundant and more. And so again, every time we settle for that, we're kind of looking at Jesus and being like, later. We're missing that invitation from Jesus to say, lean in. There is a better way. I want to come alongside you in all of this now. And so getting out of the survival to a thriving. And I could get better at this, and I could be more healthy and more whole in this journey. All right, so I do want to talk about a little bit of the church side of things. From a faith standpoint, I would love to hear from y'all, because they hear from me all the time on this, but I would love to hear from y'all from a faith standpoint. What role do you think the church plays or could play in the conversation around mental health?
Oh my. Okay, so I do a lot of work with religious trauma and spiritual abuse, so we won't go fully there. But I can tell you that when I sit down with people who are struggling with their mental health, they're also struggling with their relationship with God. And might be because of the church, not Jen. Pastor Jen is amazing. This is why my husband and I chose this church. Right, Jeff? Yeah. Yep. But we're noticing that there is a connection. So when I started seeing this in my office, I've been doing this for 10 years, I started researching it. I have a background as a social worker, not as a spiritual formation person, but my husband can tell you I read a lot of random stuff about this. There's a connection. So if you're anxious, and C.S. Lewis talks about this, if you're anxious, you're not in the present. And if you're not present, that's where God meets us. And so the church is such a big part of this, is that we can be having these conversations, right? Like Jen talking about, what's that word, nephesh?
Nefesh. Yes, nefesh.
Right? I think
Thank
about
you.
that verse of love the Lord with all your soul, might, and strength. What is it?
Yeah,
Jen?
mind, soul, and strength.
There you go.
But with all your nefesh.
All your nefesh.
If you were here last week, we had a whole Hebrew lesson.
That's
You have to
it.
go check it out on
But
YouTube.
isn't that solid mental health? Is that I have to be well to be able to do that. And it's not a have to, it's a legalism, but I get to, and it's for my wellness. It's for my goodness. And I think the church has a really big part of this, is that therapists are really great at this, is witnessing you in your pain and being able to hold it well with you. What if we did that for each other in a good way instead of a bad way? And that we're known for doing life together, and not just these fun moments on a Sunday, but we're able to actually be Jesus with skin on, and maybe people will actually believe that God sees them and witnesses their pain if we do it for each other.
I think that faith is incredibly important in mental health, or at least can be incredibly important in mental health. It's definitely a big protective factor against suicide. Life gets tough and you have those thoughts. There are very normal thoughts to think about wanting to escape and wanting to get out. And I always use the example, if you're put a hand on a hot stove, your mind is not going to take long to think of anything and everything that you can do to get out of that. And imagine if it was just stuck there, trapped there. It wouldn't take long before your mind starts to think of very drastic and extreme measures. But we know that faith is a protective factor against suicidal thoughts and suicidal actions, against homicidal thoughts and homicidal actions. It's definitely something that can guide us in terms of our values and how we want to act and what we want to behave from. And lastly, it's definitely a source of togetherness. Feeling a part of something bigger than yourself is a very, very important part of mental health, is being a part of something, kind of losing your sense of self. All of our anxiety and depression all comes from an inward focus on ourselves. And our faith is a chance for us to be able to expand that to other people, to sit in rooms like this where we're part of something bigger, to be a part of a community and one that's about really positive and really great things.
Yeah, and I didn't pay them to say that. I didn't actually pay them at all. So I didn't pay them
Cookies.
to say that.
It's
But
paid in cookies.
That's right. But I do hope that you hear it because, again, to me, that is huge. I think in part, even when I sought out the conversation, I was feeling a level of desperation of people are hurting. And we got to do more, and we got to figure this out, and we got to get our arms around it. And it was really helpful to hear Jeff and Alyssa and another friend of ours, Amanda, that was with us, and just some conversations I've had with some of you too that go, so much of this does come back to simply being together and showing up for each other in our lives, not needing to have all the answers, not needing to know everything, but as Alyssa just said it, to be Jesus with skin on, right? He said, be my hands, be my feet, be my presence, be that tangible reminder for someone that they're not alone, that we can walk through all of life together. And that is really such a big deal. And so I told you this was going to happen. Our time disappeared, and they have so many other things that I want you to hear and talk about, so we might find some other formats. But I don't want to finish without throwing this out now, because we have talked about, if you need help and what does that look like. And so for anyone who is struggling right now or knows someone who's struggling right now, what steps or direction would you give them as a starting point for getting help, taking a step?
I think I kind of joke about this, but the first step is go outside and play with your friends. Recreation, time outdoors, physical activity, being around people that love you are super, super, super important to your mental health, essentials. But beyond that, if it gets to be a problem where you feel like that's not doing it, or that's hard to do, or you need help doing that, you can seek therapy through many different ways. A lot of people have EAPs, employee assistance programs, through their work that oftentimes will cover their spouses, that will cover their children. Most of your insurances will have some sort of mental health plan on there. A lot of times, I'm a telemedicine therapist, so I do all of my work virtually, and a lot of that is now covered. 988, like 911, except 988 is a 24/7 hotline that you can call at any time. Press 1 if you're a veteran. If not, there'll be somebody there to listen to you and work through. It's not like 911. They're not going to send some men in white coats to your house unless you need it to come get you. It's just somebody there that can talk to you at any time.
Which is important. Can I tell you, I didn't know that, and I might be living under a rock. Until we had that conversation, I didn't know 988 was a number that was out there.
Yeah, don't think of it like a suicide hotline, although it can be. Think of it more like a crisis hotline. If you're really at that point where it's 2 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon and you really need somebody to talk to. And then lastly, you all are welcome to come talk to me. I'm on the New Here Start Here team, and I'm here one Sunday a month, so you're welcome to flag me down, at least in that regard. I'm here more than one Sunday a month.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
But you can come talk to me, and I'd be happy to point you in the right direction.
So would I. Finding a therapist is really hard. I've had 4. I didn't like them all. So you might figure out your insurance, and then you sit down with a lady or a man, and you're like, I literally can't stand the sound of the voice out of your mouth. Or they might give you advice, and you're like, yeah, I tried that. How do you have a degree? And then you'll realize that not every therapist is a good therapist, and so it's a hard journey. So please let us know if you have questions about that. I think too, when we look at the mental health world, everybody in AA or anything outside of mental health who are kind of in the self-helpy world, they all have a sponsor or an ally or an advocate, which is why I love that that's what the church is doing. So find a loved one that you can say, hey, I think I'm overwhelmed and I need help. Could you just sit with me while I try to figure out my insurance? Could you sit with me and read profiles of therapists? Psychology Today, I'm on it. Everybody else is on it. Could you see if there might be somebody who can do that with me? Could you even just call and see if they are accepting new patients? Because 75%, 95% of them probably aren't. It's a hard process, and so having somebody with you will increase your likelihood of getting help, but you'll already probably immediately start feeling better by just saying it out loud and asking for help.
Yeah, which is awesome. And the other thing I would add to that too is please do reach out to us, whether it's that Connect card. Fill that out. Send us a message. Just say, I'm looking for these suggestions. I need to have the next conversation. We keep a full list, and these are some of the people that I use to say, help me put really good people on this list for people that are looking for who they can talk to in all these different realms. And so want to encourage you just to know that that is a wide open door, and we want to be in these conversations together. And so can y'all do me a favor and help me thank Jeff and Alyssa for joining me up here today? Y'all, thanks. If you want to leave your mics right there and then just push your chairs that way. Y'all, like I said, I just think it's an important conversation. I think it's one that we should be talking about here because our faith really does speak to all of these things, and it's such a critical conversation. And even looking out right now, I see a bunch of you that are in this realm, and I'm so grateful for all of you and for the work that you do. So we are going to sing one more song like we normally do on a Sunday, and I'm going to pray for us here in a minute. But the other thing that we have up here today are our ownership rocks. And this is something that every few months we do here at Ashley Ridge, and usually after one of our New Here nights. But at Ashley Ridge, we talk about the fact that we don't have members, we have owners. And it's because members have privileges and owners have responsibilities. And a big part of that is saying, I want to be part of something. I want to be part of this community. I want to be part of this faith home that is going to show up for each other. And I want my name in that, and I want to be part of that. And we use the rocks because Jesus told Peter, you're the rock that I'm going to build my church on. And every one of us after Peter, we're that next rock that can be the way that somebody else finds their way to Jesus, finds the real hope and the real help that they need. And so today is one of those days that if you have been around Ashley Ridge for a little bit now and you've never signed one of these rocks, we end up using them as part of our landscape. It's a tangible reminder that we are here for other people to be part of this community, to find their way to Jesus. But if you'd like to sign one of these rocks today, if you'd like to say, I'm in, I want to show up, I want to be part of what God is doing here, then as we sing this last song, I want to invite you to come up and you can sign your name on this rock. There's pieces of paper that you can more legibly write your name as well, so that we just have some idea of who signed a rock. So sign a rock with a Sharpie, sign your name on one of the pieces of paper with a pen, and then just leave it up here. But y'all, thank you for being here and part of this conversation today. I believe that God meets us exactly where we need him in all of life. I believe God sees us, knows us, cares about us, and I believe he asks us to show up for each other in all the ways that we can. So let's sing today, and let's just worship him.
Worthy of every
this week. We'll see you right back here at 9 and 10:45 as we continue I Wish You Knew. Y'all have a great week.